Hello, everyone. Welcome back. We are back with another ex-vegan interview. This is Amy. She is a holistic lifestyle coach and a yoga and meditation teacher. And she is going to tell us her ex-vegan story today. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Megan. I'm so excited to be chatting with you today. I first found you through Matt Blackburn, which is someone who we both follow, and you interviewed him. And then I started following you and saw all kinds of ex-vegan stories, and I thought, I'd really love to share my story as well.
Yeah, I love Matt. He is a wealth of information.
Yeah, he absolutely is. And I would say that as soon as things started to change for me, was when I started following Matt, and then also Paul Chek with the Chek Institute as well. So I guess my journey began when I first read the book Crazy Sexy Diet by Chris Carr. I don't know if you're familiar with that one. And I still really love Chris Carr. I think she's really great. So basically she healed a very rare cancer with the vegan diet. And she wrote a whole book about it. And it really touched me. And I thought, wow, this is incredible, this story. Mm-hmm. And, if she was able to cure this really rare cancer with the vegan diet, then the vegan diet must be, the way to go. It must be the healthiest diet there is. And that's what I should shoot for. Mm-hmm. So that I read about in, I think, around 2011. So that's about when I started to transition to veganism. But it was a slow transition. So I started with a vegetarian diet. So really limiting, and I had really been limiting red meat for a very, very long time, even before that. I remember being in high school and there being, some friends of mine that were vegetarian, and, I wanted to be like them. And so pretty much since I was 17, I'm 34 now, I had been limiting red meat and really focusing on a lot of grains and beans and legumes and that sort of thing, right? So it's been a really long time for me eating this way. Mm-hmm. And my biggest health complaints had been really painful periods, like really debilitatingly painful periods where I would be off of work and off of school in my bed, just completely, really ruining my quality of life. And I just really couldn't understand what the problem was, and a lot of doctors weren't helping me either. And along with that complaint, it was also adult acne that I was suffering from. Probably it actually started right around when I started to go vegetarian and vegan. I did have some stressful events in my life during that time, which of course does add to acne and changing your hormones and developing acne. But my vegan diet was certainly not helping that situation either. So I guess it was about 2.5 years ago that I transitioned to vegan, and my partner did so with me as well. So we were on the journey together, and it was really a wonderful experience. Learning to cook new foods and opening up my diet to more different vegetables, and really being challenged in the kitchen, right? Like coming up with really satisfying meals that excluded meat and animal products. It was a beautiful learning process. And like many vegans, I did experience some positive benefits when I first went vegan. I had a little bit more energy. My acne did go away for a little bit in the beginning. I felt clear-headed. Had a few really good positive benefits. But then again, I guess around the about 5-month mark is when things started to go downhill, and I didn't have energy gains anymore, and I started to feel lethargic, and a lot of different symptoms that I only realize now were related to veganism. Like one of the things you had said was inability to keep your body heat. Yeah. Right? Like, so I was really cold all winter. We just finished one of the coldest winters in a few years. And so I could just really feel that my body was not able to keep heat. Like my hands and feet were really cold all the time. And it was just really challenging.
Yeah, I felt the cold in my bones.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
It was such a deep cold. I couldn't even explain it to people.
Mm-hmm. And it was really, really, really nice when I started to eat red meat again, and I started to hold my heat,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And it took a little while for my partner to start eating meat again with me. I think it was about, I would say about 5 months or so. No, actually, maybe about 3 months until he started to eat meat again with me. And he was suffering. He was just cold all the time. And here I was warm and kind of like looking over, laughing at him like, okay, yeah, go ahead.
You
And
want a
suffer.
steak?
Yeah. There was a couple of times where I said to him, I just want to feed you a steak kind of thing. But anyways, so, yeah, my vegan experience was, it was definitely eye-opening in a lot of ways. I really feel that the vegan movement is really important for showing the world the horrors of factory farming,
Mm-hmm.
and it was something I didn't really know about before. And so, now my philosophy really is to support small family farms, just like what Matt Blackburn says, right?
Mm-hmm.
Supporting those small family farms, those farmers that are doing it right and are allowing the cattle to have an actual life where they're outside and they have the sun on their backs and they're eating their natural diet, which is grass, not grains, and so yeah, it's I feel like I've been duped in a way, right? I feel like I'm unlearning all these things that I thought I knew about nutrition and thought I knew about health. And, to speak to that book that really changed my mind, Crazy Sexy Diet, I think that there is some validity in going to a vegan diet to cleanse your body and to cure a body of cancer, because likely a lot of these people that before they go vegan, they were eating a lot of toxic food and toxic meat too, right? Because meat from an unhealthy animal is, it's bad for you, right? And, milk from an unhealthy animal is not good for you. And so, so when these people go vegan, they do have a lot of these benefits because they've cut all of that processed stuff out, all of the sick, unhealthy meat products and animal products, and they just go to these cleansing foods, vegetables, right? And I think where a lot of people, and me included, where I ran into trouble was when I started eating more beans and lentils and legumes and wheat as well. So a big wake up call was when I decided to visit a naturopath to really get an understanding of why I couldn't get rid of my acne or my period cramps. And it took me a long time to go and see this naturopath, but that's when things started to really change. And we had a lot of really honest conversations about veganism and about, balance. And I remember one thing she said to me was, you're important too, and your health is important too. Yeah. Along with being an activist and along with, compassion for animals, what about compassion for yourself? And so I took that advice home and really thought about it and thought, maybe I was wrong. Maybe this isn't the healthiest way to live, because here I am, I'm sick. I'm getting sick all the time. I'm tired. I'm lethargic, and I'm not able to live my best life. I'm not able to have the energy to do these things I want to do in the world, which is for the greater good, So, yeah, it's really been quite the journey, and it's been really interesting, to have a whole new perspective on diet and what food is and how food can heal you. Like all food is healing. I mean, and food from an animal, a healthy animal, is healing too. So, there's a really interesting woman. Her name is Dr. Natasha Campbell McBride. And she's someone who's really talking about this, and she's incredibly intelligent. She studies neurology and nutrition. And she says that there's only two foods that Mother Nature gave us. And those are vegetables, which are cleansers, and animal products, which are body builders. Yeah. So that's the raw materials that build our body, right? So yes, if someone does get cancer and they're in a dire state where they need to cleanse, then yeah, juice and vegetables and fruits and distilled water and things like that, right? To cleanse the body. But over the long term, that I don't think is sustainable. I think that once the body then does have a cleanse, then you need to give the body, the raw materials to build muscle and strength and vitality.
Yeah, I think I have the same kind of view on it. I think that the reason why a lot of people find that it works for cancer or serious illness is because it's a breakdown diet. So you've built up these cancerous tissues or cells, and now you go on a breakdown diet, and it helps cleanse the body and break those unhealthy tissues down. But then you get to a point where the pendulum is kind of swung too much one way, and you need to rebuild again. And so I think that this wall that a lot of vegans hit after a few years, the pendulum swung too far the other way. They broke down too much, and now they need to rebuild and balance it back out.
Yeah, and that makes sense. And you can start to see when your body is giving you the signs that you've gone a little bit too far. Like the zinc deficiency that I had, I was getting sick all the time. Just my immune system was terrible, right? My hair started falling out. Like I remember I blamed it on the change of seasons. I think it was like, winter to spring. And I thought, oh, it must just be the season change. That's why I see my hair all over my bedroom and in my brush, and I was just explaining away a lot of these things because I was just so deep in the in the fallacy of all this stuff. And brittle nails as well. Terrible bowel movements. I was bloated and flatulent all the time, and it just was kind of living with being flatulent. And it's so uncomfortable, So when I saw my naturopath, she suggested that I likely have leaky gut from the excess of lentils and beans and wheat. And so when she suggested that, I went on a just research rampage, just started researching everything. And that's when I started to really change my diet and eliminate those things. And you can imagine what it would be like to be a vegan without beans, lentils, peas, soy, legumes, peanuts, wheat, quinoa, all the grains, right? So I had to look at everything and go, okay, well, I'm not able to eat any of these things. Now my diet's really restrictive, and I don't know if I can live this way, right? So I opened my diet up to, I went pretty much straight to red meat. I had asked my guides, I had asked Spirit, okay, like what food group and what foods are going to help me? What foods are going to help me feel vital and heal my acne and my period cramps? And the answer was red meat. And it's funny because, as we grow up and you're a Canadian female again, right? And so we grow up thinking that, red meat is for the boys. And because we're women, we choose chicken and fish because it's lighter. Yeah. And that's what we choose, right? And it just seems so ridiculous to me now, right? So red meat has been incredibly healing for me. And I want to say grass-fed red meat, right? So really seeking out the good butchers out there that are supporting small farmers, small family farms that are doing it right. And so I really see red meat as a healing food. I remember seeing that Instagram account, I think it's like Meat Heals, or it's a YouTube account. And I thought, oh, what ridiculousness is that? I couldn't even imagine and couldn't even open my mind up to that. But now here I am, I'm seeing the results that red meat can give to me in my body. And I'm like, wow, okay, there really is something to this.
Yeah, someone told me about Sean Baker's website when I was still vegan, the meatheals.com, I think it is. And I was like, this guy's crazy. Like, how could you eat just meat? You're going to die. Like, I was so against it and like not open to the idea at first. And then the more that I got sick and the more that I listened to other people's ex-vegan stories, I started opening up to it. And now, like, that's pretty much like the only like social media that I'm like checking is like all the meat accounts now.
Yeah, I had the similar journey. I slowly started to unfollow a lot of the vegan accounts and stuff, and then started following Sean Baker and people that Matt Blackburn would recommend and stuff too. Yeah. It's funny when you start to really understand the truth, it like you feel it in your being. You're like, wow, okay, because you also feel it in your body too. But you're like, oh, okay, this is the way, and I'm usually like such a skeptical person, and I can't believe I was taken by, you know, the whole vegan agenda and the vegan movement. You know, like I do honor vegans for their work that they're doing, and if they are doing it for the ethical reasons, then great and amazing, and that's your choice. But to say that it's for health reasons is really misleading for a lot of people. And so I think that we just really need more people in the world giving really sound dietary advice, and just talking about balance, and going back to traditional methods, traditional farming methods. You know, yeah, it's really, really been mind-blowing. It's been a mind-blowing experience. And yeah, I guess another thing I could speak to is what my diet really looks like now. So I have pretty much healed my acne. I'm so thankful every single day I wake up, and I have, you know, I don't have acne anymore. I get like the little spot here and there, you know, because I'm still healing this and I'm still calibrating it. I've only been eating meat again for about 5 months or so. And one of the big game changers was starting to include grass-fed beef liver into my diet, which is considered a superfood, which, you know, I thought, you know, how could anyone say that liver or a meat product is a superfood, right? Because you hear about all the David Wolf superfoods, but it actually is, because it's so nutrient dense. And, you know, as women, like we need all that extra stuff. I mean, potassium, copper, iron, fat soluble vitamins. It's preformed vitamin A as well. I mean, as soon as I started taking the grass-fed beef liver tablets, my acne really, really calmed down. And along with that, a spore-based probiotic as well, which is something that Matt Blackburn recommends. So a lot of his advice has just really helped me as well. So yeah, I have a lot of vegan friends, and it's been a little bit tough, you know, kind of coming out of the closet to them and letting them know, you know, and but you know, I guess it's just part of my journey, right? And here I am experiencing the best health that I've ever experienced, and I just want other people to know that, you know, to not be dogmatic about anything, and to be open to new ideas that might challenge your existing beliefs.
Yeah, after my experience, I'll never be closed-minded to anything, because the second that I was so closed-minded with veganism that I couldn't see anything else, I started harming myself, and I started getting to the point where I was deteriorating because I was so closed-minded. So you're a very spiritual person. How was your experience on the vegan diet and now on more of an animal-based diet as far as spirituality? Because that's something that I talk about in a few of my videos.
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, a lot of people might think, you know, well, I don't want to eat meat because it might hinder my spiritual growth, right? And, you know, when you think about it, you know, all the native people in the world, no one can deny that they're incredibly spiritual beings that are very connected to the land, and they worship the animals. They worship them in all of their art and their totems, and, you know, in their culture, but they do eat them. And, you know, so it's a little bit like honoring where we've come from as well. And, you know, honoring that, you know, you can, some people might say, well, if I remove animal products from my diet, then I'll be eating higher vibrational foods, and I'll be able to ascend easier, and I'll be able to open my channel to the divine, and to, you know, to my guides, and I'll be able to feel more connected. And, you know, there might be some truth to that, because there are yogis in the world that have been documented that, you know, they exist without food or water for many, many days, even years. And they sit under the Bodhi tree and they meditate each and every day. And that those are their days. That's what they do, you know, and they might be experiencing some enlightenment, right? But when you don't have really, really strong, solid health in your body, then when you start to ignite sort of the upper chakras and start to ignite that part of yourself, it's really a beautiful process. but it can veer a little bit into psychosis when you don't have the health and the solid grounding in your body, where your body feels grounded in this reality and grounded in this earth, and is getting all the nutrients you need all the way down to your cells, that they're getting everything that they need. It's only then, when you're grounded like that, that you can really ascend and do so and not lose your mind and not veer into madness, basically.
Yeah.
So,
because at first I thought it was getting more spiritual, and then I started realizing that it was a lot of brain fog and feeling up in the clouds and not feeling grounded at all. And I'm still a very spiritual person, but I feel like I'm more grounded now than I was when I was vegan, for sure. So yeah, I definitely still think that you can still be a spiritual being and consume animals. I have so much more respect for animals now that I realize that we are so dependent on them, because if you don't take care of them, then you won't have healthy food. So it's a cycle of you taking care of them and them taking care of you. And where we get it wrong is that we mistreat them and they're sick, and then they in turn make us sick. So we're so interconnected with them, and we don't really realize that in today's modern society. We're so disconnected from farms and disconnected from the cycle of life and what it actually takes to make food.
Exactly. Yeah. A very, very good point. And it is about honoring that life force on your plate, and that's something that my partner and I have started to do since we started, eating meat, is, wow, okay, looking at your plate and just gathering up all the gratitude that you have for that life force, for that animal's life force. Thank you so much for giving your life force to me, so that your energy can turn into energy inside of me, so that I can go out there in the world and share beauty and knowledge and love and be the best human being that I can be. So that mealtime gratitude practice has been such a beautiful addition to my life. And I could say the same, just like you said, I feel like I love the animals more somehow. And I know, like, any vegan hearing that would probably just be outraged, right?
Cringing.
But if we understand, and everyone's spiritual path is different, but for me, I really understand that, the animating force inside of me and the animating force inside of you is the same force inside of every plant and every animal and even every mineral and rock, and so when you think of it, we're all here together, and it's like life turning into life. It's energy turning into energy. And as long as you're not doing anything in excess, and you're not kind of wasting your life and wasting your energy, I feel like
malice.
Yeah, and doing exactly right, and honoring the animal and the life force. I read this incredible book over the winter. It was a novel. I usually read a lot of self-help books, but I love this novel. It's called The Good Earth, and it's a story about a farming family in China in like the 1800s, and they had a really bad summer where it rained all the time, and they didn't have enough rice for the winter. But they went through the winter. They had 2 children and a wife, and the whole town was starving, and they were just down to the last of their beans and last of their grains. And the main character of the story went out to the mule, who was their mule, that plowed the fields, and it was, a very important part of the family and part of the farm. And he would visit him, and he would wait and wait and wait. And he said, I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I can kill the mule to feed my family. And the wife ended up 3 days later going out there and doing it, and doing it for the family, so the family could eat. And so it's, it's just such a beautiful story about, if you could imagine being really that hungry, because we've never really experienced what it's like to be truly hungry. And so when it kind of comes down to that, it's sort of that primal aspect that of us that comes out and can take that life, but of course doing so with deep reverence for that animal and how it served us, and not squandering our time and our energy that we get from that meat. So yeah.
I think I experienced a type of starvation or a type of hunger being a long-term vegan, because I think that it happens so gradually. It's a day-to-day thing that you don't really realize that it's happening, and that's why it's so dangerous. So when you refeed with animal products, when you finally decide to do that and you feel the difference, I don't know about you, but I felt a difference instantly, and then it kept building on that. But having that feeling and having that sensation, if you haven't starved yourself of animal products for years, you really don't understand that. Like someone who eats animal products every day, or a vegan who is still vegan, there's no way that you can comprehend that feeling. And so there's a different type of nutrition that you get from these animal products, and that's just my personal experience.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah, absolutely.
Did you notice a difference, like when you first refed?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Like just energy, so much more energy. And to be honest too, I changed nothing in my workout routine. All I did was eliminate beans, legumes, grains, and added red meat back in, and goat's milk. Very, very, very helpful. And the weight just started falling off of me. Like the bloat just completely went away. I've almost been able to start seeing like some of my muscle definition in my abdomen, which I have never seen my abs ever, and so I'm watching my body slowly transform, and it makes perfect sense. It's because my whole life I was eating a diet that wasn't right for me. And now I finally understand the right diet for me, and I'm just watching my body transform. And yes, I have more energy. And yes, like I research all the time, and I'm sure you do too, when you're in this line of work, and being able to recall information, and also just being able to store more information as well. Like my brain is just, it's like, feels like a supercomputer lately, so those are pretty big benefits since refeeding and eating red meat. Something that really came into my awareness as well was, eating like your ancestors. And, you hear that term kind of thrown around a lot, eat like your ancestors, but your specific ancestors, right? I'm half Hungarian, and I learned that Hungarians have had a very long history with herding sheep and goats, and that was their livelihood. Very, very long history. And so yeah, goat's milk has been really, really helpful to me. And of course, eating red meat, which includes all ruminant animals. So I have experimented with eating a little bit of lamb here and there. If I could get elk or deer, I would experiment with that as well. Bison's been really, really great as well. And yeah, just lots of energy, my skin clearing up as well. So that tells me that, my insides are now clear as well, because when your skin is clear, you know that you have harmony going on in your body. So it's been a combination of including animal products back in, and a big part of it is eliminating the problem foods. I can't speak for all of humanity, but I'm pretty sure that, grains are not the most ideal thing for humans to eat, and nor are beans. In my video series about how I cured my acne, I talk about beans and seeds, right? Like the seeds, like a chickpea is the seed of the plant, and it has the lectins and the anti-nutrients on it so that it can survive your digestive tract, right? So it causes digestive upset, especially if you have a compromised digestive system, which many of us do because of pesticides and fertilizers and GMOs and all this crap we're doing with our food. Yeah.
Did you notice that you were more sensitive to foods, or sensitive just to anything when you were vegan, like compared to now?
Yeah, like lentils was really, really, really bad. More sensitive.
I just noticed that now that I'm including animal products, I can handle having like beans every now and then, or I can handle having some junk food or some fruit or something. But when I was vegan, my nerves got so damaged from like a lack of nutrition that I was hypersensitive to fruit. Like even natural sugar I was hypersensitive to. I was hypersensitive to beans, and junk food. I could not do any type of junk food whatsoever.
Right. Or you just be like laid out, just sick.
In pain, just in pain. And
Yeah.
now I feel like the animal products are very protective now that I can afford to go off a little bit here and there, but still feel healthy.
Right. Yeah. And I like that you used that word protective. Um, Another thing I noticed was that I could handle my emotions better too. Like, I had some stressful events, of course, like anyone does. I had to move, and the housing prices in Toronto have just shot up, and it's been really hard to find a place, right? So I had like a pretty big stressful event in my life while being vegan. But, I know that if I had been eating saturated fat, that I would have been able to handle that situation so much better. I actually started smoking again because I couldn't handle it. So I was a vegan that was smoking. And when I started eating red meat back in, I noticed I could handle my emotions. I remember one day I was sitting on my computer and something technology wise wasn't working, and I could feel that familiar trigger kind of rising up, like I was going to get really mad and I was going to freak out and cry. And I could feel it coming, and I was like, okay, here it comes. And it just didn't come, and it just kind of subsided. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to freak out right now. This is okay. Deep breath and keep going.
Yeah.
It's incredible. And that makes sense, because it's like, if your body knows it's getting meat and what it needs, and it's getting nutrition, then
it's calm.
It's calm. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you're kind of in like a state of stress or starvation, any one little thing can just set you off. But
right.
When you're healthy and you're nourished, it's like, okay, it's not a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah. So incredible. Like it's so logical. It makes so much sense, but we miss it. We miss those things,
And I feel like that is part of what contributes to the toxicity online of the vegan community. I just, like, no offense to anyone watching, but there's a lot of unstableness going on there. I don't know about you, but when I publicly came out and said I wasn't vegan anymore, I got completely attacked. Like,
wow. Yeah. I can absolutely relate. I mean, I guess I'm lucky that I didn't really get too much to my face, really, but I'm sure that there are those in my community that are like, wondering about my spirituality and that sort of thing, right? I'm lucky that I haven't been trolled too hard. I did join a Facebook group called Recovering Vegetarians and Vegans, and it's a support group. And it's a pretty small group yet. I think there's only 200 members, but it's really awesome. Everyone's supporting each other and sharing information. And then once in a while, someone will request to join, and they'll actually be a vegan troll, and they'll just go through and just like, just completely, wow, they are just so irate. And it really is indicative of their malnutrition, and their anger is so extreme because their body's not getting what it needs.
Yeah. So did you take any supplements, B12, anything like that?
I was taking B12 when I was vegan. A vegan multivitamin. I think I was taking magnesium. I was, that's about it for supplements, I guess. I did start taking zinc a little bit here and there. And of course, liquid zinc is usually the best form, and that's what I was taking when I was vegan. But because it's bioavailable, right? But then beef liver has lots of zinc in it, and that's a food. So it's like, do you choose the liquid zinc, which is probably made in a lab, or do you choose the food supplement that has lots of zinc in it? It's your choice, right?
Yeah, they work, vitamins and minerals, nutrients, they work very synergistically together. I don't even think that we really fully understand it yet. The labs don't understand it yet. Whole foods give you so much more than a supplement could ever do. I'm not like completely against supplementation. I think it can definitely help depending on the situation and the context, but you can't replace food. And from my experience, when I was vegan, I was trying a bunch of different herbs to do this and to do that to relieve certain symptoms. and these herbs have been proven to help with certain things, but when the diet, the foundation is not there, then you can't expect natural medicine to work when that's not the problem. The problem is your foundation, your diet.
Oh, wow. That's an interesting point. Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Wow.
Is there anything else you wanted to add?
I guess, you know, I really just love to advocate for vegans and anyone really, just to support organic farming, to just do your best to vote with your dollars and really understand who you're supporting when you're buying vegan products as well. In Canada, Field Roast is owned by Maple Leaf Products, so they're a direct funder of factory farming.
Yeah.
So if you're buying those fake vegan meats, you know, just really know where you're putting your money and support small organic farms. Go to the farmers market, talk to the farmers, give them your money. If you want to see things grow, you know, that's where you want to put your money. And the last thing I'll say is, you know, if you're vegan and you're not supporting organic farming and you're just supporting conventional farming, then you are directly funding the absolute destruction of animals and animal habitats, all the way from the earthworms and the microbes in the soil, who are the key cultivators of the soil, all the way to the butterflies and the bees and farmland birds, you know, all the way to bigger animals as well, and also aquatic life, because all of that non-organic conventional farming chemicals leach off of the farm and go into rivers, lakes, and streams and cause massive amounts of death and also hormonal dysfunction in aquatic animals. So it's really important that we know what we're angry about. It should really be that we're angry about massive monocrop commercial farming, and understand that if we support organic farms, then we can have health and vitality for all, as opposed to just lining the pockets of big companies like Monsanto and these big agrochemical businesses. So it's just important to be activists still. You know, if you're no longer vegan, you can still be an activist and just, you know, tell all your friends and family, support organic farms. It's the only way that we're going to really move forward as humanity and have vitality and have the health that we need in order to start to change things in the world.
Yeah, you can still make a change and not be vegan and not have to starve yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, thank you so much for taking the time out to tell us your story.
Thank you.
And hopefully we can collab again in the near future.
I would love that. Thank you so much, Megan.
Thank you.